Hey everyone, so this is my review of Supergirl, Season 4, Episode 3, called Man of Steel. And essentially, this episode is it's the story of how Ben Lockwood became Agent Liberty. And this was a really interesting episode that was very entertaining and great with how it was all done and stuff. And I really kind of enjoyed it for the fact that this episode, solely focused on how this villain sort of came to be. And that was really interesting, and I definitely liked it for how the story was being told. Where Ben Lockwood, essentially, at the start was somewhat a pro-alien, and that he was willing to accept aliens into his country and stuff, and understood where they were coming from and all this different stuff. But then certain events kept happening that slowly began to evolve and change his mind on his views of aliens and how he sort of grew to hate them. And that was interesting with how it was all shown, and I really liked it for the fact that it showed a lot of his hatred centers around all the destruction and stuff that aliens cause that is never really looked into. Where one of the biggest examples that really changed him was during the attack of the Daxamites from Season 2, and that all happens and stuff, and while that's going on, his house gets hit by Jean and one of the Daxamites when they're fighting, and it ends up causing his house to be lit on fire and burned down, so he and his family just lose everything because of that. And that was interesting, and I liked it for the fact that it did bring up how there are certain damages and stuff that happen to normal people during these massive fights and stuff that are never really brought up or fixed to the degree that they deserve to be fixed. And I really enjoy when superhero movies and stuff focus on that, because of the fact that it is something that's kind of glossed over or overlooked and stuff. So it was interesting that Ben's whole story sort of revolves around that sort of stuff, because then the other storyline around it is that his family's company goes out of business because of a rival company run by a bunch of aliens using this alien metal and stuff, puts his family's steel company out of business. That was interesting with how at first Ben was trying to get the two companies to work together, but then as the time progressed and he became more and more angry towards aliens, he instead decided to burn that new factory down. And that was interesting to see too. And like I said, just the whole evolution of him and his hatred and how it just overtook him was just amazing to see. Then Ben's relationship to the Luthor family was also really interesting, with the Lockwood sort of family steel company being a main beneficiary almost to the Luthor company, where they use a lot of the Lockwood steel in making their devices and stuff. But then when Lena took over and she started to steer things in the different direction, she decided to abandon them, which was also a reason behind why Lockwood Steel went out of business. So that led to a bunch of great scenes in the sort of future of Lockwood's timeline, where his hatred towards Lena just grew even more because of the fact that she's building devices that are helping the aliens to hide and stuff like that. And then she is now working with these alien steel companies and stuff to build these devices, and how she pretty much did nothing to really help the Lockwood family out when they were running low on money or stuff like that. And that was just really interesting to see their whole dynamic, and I'm very interested to see if that sort of will come back in the future, where Lockwood will come for Lena to get some more personal revenge on her. Then a little bit of side story that was at the beginning of this episode and at the end of this episode was interesting with Supergirl, and how the atmosphere is now irradiated with kryptonite, so it's slowly killing her. and they had to go to Lena for help to have this suit that would create like its own sort of atmosphere. So until they can find a way to get rid of the kryptonite, Kara has to live in this suit. And that's something I'm very interested to see how that's going to play out in the future. Because of the fact that Kara essentially now has to live in this suit 24/7. And so she can't really be Kara anymore. So I'm very interested to see what sort of problems that's going to raise in the future. And then just overall, this was a really interesting episode that I really enjoyed for the fact that it did pretty much solely focus on the villain's sort of story arc and how they got to where they are. And I'm just really interested and excited to see what they're going to do in the future episodes and stuff. So yeah, that's my review of Supergirl, Season 4, Episode 3, called Man of Steel. So